The Rock and Roll Coffee Show is brought to you by Writers and Rockers Coffee Company, keeping the music and memories alive with some damn good coffee. Visit them at writersandrockerscoffee.com. And Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 70s, 80s, 90s retro. ShopRetroactive.com.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, we do.
I am Joe Sibilia, and this is the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Thanks for joining me. Before we get into our next guest, I would love for you to join our YouTube family and please subscribe, like, and comment. All those things help support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Mark Knight is back. This is Mark's third visit to the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show, but his first video chat. Mark is here to discuss the new album by Mark Knight and the Unsung Heroes titled Lonesome Songs. And let me tell you this album is probably the best record I've listened to this year. I think you're going to love it. Mark Knight is up next on the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Enjoy. The word on the street is you have a new record out.
That word is correct.
And I got to tell you, I listened to it. You had sent me a message a couple weeks ago asking if I listened to it yet, and I didn't respond because I didn't, not being a dick, but I didn't want to tell you what I thought about it yet.
Cool. Yeah.
If that makes sense. So
absolutely.
I got to say, man, it's brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it is. I think probably my favorite work that you've put out.
Awesome.
Including the stuff you did with Bang Tango. This probably, in my book, tops it.
Nice. Win-win.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you found you. I think this group of songs definitely represents you.
Yeah, I would have to agree. You know, I've written a lot of material and made a lot of records, and doing this one, which is different from any of the other records I've ever done, I did it solely by myself for the most part. I recorded my own vocals. I recorded all my guitar parts. I wrote all the songs by myself. There was really no interaction with anybody else until we got into some overdub stuff and the mixing and some drum parts and, you know, some additional musicianship that went on. But for the most part, I did it, recorded it on myself in my home studio on Pro Tools with nobody overseeing it. Basically, I just produced myself.
Was that a good thing, I guess, then, right?
You know, I went into the whole record just making demos, and then the demos were sounding pretty good, and I played them for some people, and for example, Adam Hamilton, who eventually became part of the project, and for Wayne Lothian, who also helped me out a lot with the project. And they're like, well, we could just build on these tracks. These are great. You know, there's no such thing as demos anymore. You know, you got the ability to make great recordings in your house, and you know, getting good recordings, getting good sounds. So I just spent a little bit more time dialing the sounds because I looked at it more like a permanent. This is going to be it, and it just manifested into these songs that I just did them all myself to a click track, basically, and then sent them off to get outside musicianship going.
So talk about those sounds, the guitar tones, because you got some great tones and great, you know, on your leads, on your rhythms, everything just seemed to fit perfect. Everything just worked with this record.
It was weird because I just sat around and like just bounced around sounds by myself for different parts. So I'd hear something in my head randomly, and I had a system. I was only using one amp for the whole record. It's a Fender DeVille 410, for all you tech heads. That's all I used. And basically, I just put a 57 SM57 mic on it, like direct mic'd it, baffled it up. And that amp gets so many different types of sounds. And you really don't need to crank it super loud to get a good tone. You know, you go past 3, you're getting into like distortion and weird stuff. So you can get sounds within a small room, baffle it, and keep it away from your mic's picking it up in different areas, so it doesn't get on the take. So I just kind of had the freedom to experiment. Like I'd hear a Telly on this song, and I'd hear like a cleaned up, you know, Les Paul for this solo. And I just had that freedom, and I just kind of like, I didn't overthink it, just went with what I felt. And basically I set the whole tracks up, almost every single song, with two acoustics first. I'd put my Guild, my 59, my 69 Jumbo Guild, and then I got this Martin a couple of years back. So I'd have those stereo left, right, the basic rhythms of the track, to start the bed tracks of it, just to a click. And then from there, I'd throw down a vocal and then build electrics, bring the electrics in. And, I'd basically use a Telly and a Les Paul, left, right, basically the whole time. I'd split those up. Then I brought like dobro in. I tried different things, a couple other different guitars I tried, but it was pretty simple, and there was real simple left, right, old school 70s kind of mixes, not a lot of stuff. I didn't double the guitars a bunch. I just would do two different guitars and split them to give that kind of unique blend of two guitars.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's more than two guitars on there on some of that stuff. There's really cool parts in there, and I was wondering.
Well, those are like lead guitar part overdubs, right? So what I would do is I'd do the two acoustics first, then I'd do two electrics, so you'd have four guitars there. Then I'd add like probably like a solo, and then sometimes I'd do some harmonies on the solos. I'd throw a little harmony third or fifth on some of the melodies, and then a couple of them I'd go back with maybe just a kind of an electric rhythmy kind of thing here and there, just sparse bits. And that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to it on headphones today, actually, on these headphones. And that's when I was really hearing that stuff, because I like to listen to stuff in the car, and then I'll listen at work on my little box I have. And then I like to really hear it on the headphones, because you can hear the different pannings and all the little things in there. And that's when I was noticing all that stuff. And I was like, was all this stuff in your head, or were you building it as you were recording? Were you saying,
I was building it
I need something else?
That's a good question. I built it as I went along.
Wow. Okay.
I had the song in my head. I had the rhythm, basic acoustic, accompanying to the vocal, to the song. I wrote them all on acoustic. And then as I went, I'd hear different melodies on another guitar or different guitar. And almost every guitar I picked up to do another overdub with, I'd write like a counterpart or play off the first one. I did a lot of like ping pong, like kind of Stones trip, like Ronnie Wood and Keith Richards, how I synchronized with myself, which was a lot of fun. So that was just, I would create those parts as I went. It wasn't thought out. It was just like, how can I make this even, how can I make this better? How can I add to the hooks to the song with the guitar? And it's like I'm a guitar player number one. So.
Yeah. So doing that, I mean, when's the point when the song's done? You could keep going on.
Because I didn't want to clutter it too much, because the simplicity of it is what's great about it, I think. And talking to Adam Hamilton, we had spoke a lot about how we're going to approach this record without going crazy with overdubs or like doubling guitar parts too much. I mean, a couple times I would double up a heavy part, maybe just to make it thicker. But I always like the sound of distinctive guitars that aren't like sabotaged by overdubs. Like, you actually lose sound and tonality in a guitar when you put three of them on this. You just don't hear the guitar anymore. Sounds like a wall of sound of, it works for some stuff, like metal and stuff or different stuff. But for what I was doing, once I heard a big enough sound there, I just like cut out. Like I didn't need to add anymore. I could have kept going, but like, how many more melodies are you going to take away? Because I wanted to keep the vocal present too. I mean, that's the main thing, So I would just know when it was done. It just sounded good. I'm like, I don't need to do anything else here. I think, add bass and drums. So let's go.
Yeah. Talk about the vocals a little bit, because I mean, the vocals are outstanding as well. Everything on this record just seemed to fall into place to me. Like nothing seemed forced. Nothing seemed like you were trying too hard to do something. You know what I mean? It was just all smooth. And
it's because nobody produced me. That's why, because basically I went with the gut feeling of what sounded right, with nobody going, I did a lot of talking to myself. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, that's pretty good. But when it came to the vocal, it was like this weird kind of like rhythm I got into, where I got real quick with pushing my own buttons myself, and you kind of get in this rhythm. So basically, I do like one take, two takes, three takes, and usually by the third take, I would get in the zone with emotion, and I felt like I was like locking in on the feel and the emotion of what I was trying to do. And the pitch, you know, you just warm up to it, you get the sound. And once I got, it usually took like 2 or 3 takes on the vocal, and I just do it myself. Sometimes I'd go in after the choruses, you know, I'd do the verse and then maybe do the chorus and then do the verse, get a good verse, and do the choruses later. I didn't do like straight takes all the way through, but other songs I did do straight takes. I do like, you know, 2 or 3 of them till I felt I had the one, and then I listened to it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I think that's cool. And I just like put it to bed. Sometimes it wasn't 100%. I'm like, I don't even know if I got it. The next day I listen back and be like, well, I don't really hear anything too wrong with it. If there is, we can tweak it a little bit here and there. But and that's how I did the vocal. I just did them all by myself. I have like a little booth I built. Um, and I'd sit down or I'd stand up for certain ones to get more air going to the vocal cords, and I just let it rip. And you know, some days I want to get in the zone. I just be like, well, I'll try it tomorrow or the next day. Or some were harder than others. Some came really quick. Like I got it. I'm done. I mean, how am I going to beat that? You tell yourself stuff like that from having people produce you for so many years.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I think the freedom of my inflections and my the way I sing and my character was being stifled on other records because I was giving somebody else the reins to decide if they were good or bad. And a lot of times I felt like I had certain tracks that were great vocally, and the guy would be like, no, you're not, you just do it again, do it again. And they make me change my persona or my character or my voice. I'd be like, that's not really how I hear it, but all right. And you know, that's it, you got it. And I'd be like, I don't know, I think the other ones were better. But this time nobody was involved with that.
That's fantastic. Well, you nailed it with how you did it. You nailed it this time.
Thanks.
So,
That's what people have been saying across the board. You're not the first, and
yeah.
he's like, whatever you're doing, just keep doing that.
Right, right.
It's a good.
I
It's
mean,
a
I
good
feel kind of bad for you because now you got to top this one next time.
Tell me about it. I know, man. I was worried about topping Days of a Dreamer, but
Yeah,
you know, like my wife kept saying, you know, just push your buttons yourself. You don't need anybody over here telling you how to do it. You're like, you could produce yourself. I'm like, you don't understand. You need to get outside and pushing the buttons and be technical. And she's like, just try it, just do it. And then once I got in the flow of it, I'm like, ah, this is coming out pretty cool. Like, I think we're onto
she's
something.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. And the mix. So you had Adam mix it, right?
Yeah. Adam Hamilton mixed it. We recorded all the real drums at his place. I didn't do the drums here. Drums are a whole different
Right,
beast.
right, right.
He's a master at that. And he also added additional bass, and he also played he did a bunch of little stuff, percussion, and he played drums on a couple tracks, on 2 tracks. Tig Kettler played on 7 of the tracks. And then he also added some backgrounds, and he kind of just, once he got him into his world, he's by himself too. He just did his thing. He'd just be like, check this out, what do you think? Because we could have gone to somebody else. And then Wayne Lothian, he played, we went to him for 95% of the bass parts. He's an old friend of mine. He was in the Unsung Heroes on Don't Kill the Cat, and he also played on Days of a Dreamer, and he co-produced a couple songs too. He did San Fernando Valley and Stop the Rain, because I'd sent him those 2 tracks first before I even got with Adam, and he did these incredible mixes on them with, you know, with loop drums and his whole world. And it was an unbelievable production, but it was like too much for me. It didn't sound like a Mark Knight record to me. So, you know, we just ended up, you know, doing some of the stuff live. Adam played drums on the San Fernando, and Stop the Rain, I think Adam played drums too. And then, but Wayne did most all the bass, and we just sent it over to him, and he sent it back to us. And so it was basically Adam Hamilton, Wayne Lothian, Tig Kettler, and myself. The 4 of us make up, you know, the whole sound. You know, I mean, there's no outside player except my daughter Scarlett. She sang on the I Do song. I Do,
yeah.
She also played some guitar on there too.
Oh, did she? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I knew she sang
yeah,
on
she's
there.
in there. She's blended in there.
Yeah, because some of my favorite ones on the record are San Fernando Valley, Shut Down, Stop the Rain, and I Do is another one.
Nice.
Um, I didn't know she played guitar.
Yeah, she did there's like a rhythm track of her in there where she did some alternate weird tuning. She's into like really interesting indie rock type stuff. And we had done that song like 2 years ago it was like a holiday. She came into town from New York and we said, let's write a song. We did the song. She played some guitar. We did a demo of it. We ended up recutting the vocals. And she came back again a year later and did her lead vocal over. And we kept all the other guitars. It's all the original. And then Adam had played drums on that too.
On
And
I
he
Do.
added the string. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did
Okay.
like the shuffling, kind of like,
Yeah.
the kind of, there's like side sticks on that. I forget what he played, but it's cool stuff. Yeah. And then he did the string section as well.
Right. I love how you in the chorus part where you're saying the I do and you're going up.
Right.
That was really cool.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you did a
Thanks.
great job at that.
That
Was
was
that
fun.
difficult for you or no?
You know, it was really weird because I wrote that part, and when we were cutting the demo and Scarlett was here, she was like pushing the buttons and I was singing it, and she goes, "Holy shit, you can like really sing now." It's like, what? She goes, "That's like some real singing."
Yeah.
She goes, that sounds really cool. But no, I don't know. I just wrote it, and wasn't out of my wheelhouse. I could sing it pretty easily, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a different kind of little thing I've never really done. I experimented with my voice a little bit on this whole record.
Yeah, I don't think I heard you do anything like that before that I can remember anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty more straightforward kind of.
Yeah. How many songs did you record for this? Was it just the 11? I think there's 11 on it,
Um,
right?
yeah, there's 11. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't think we did any that didn't make it. I think there were some ideas for a couple more songs, but I never went through with actually working them up and tracking them. I think I wanted to keep it a little bit, not as many songs. I didn't want to do 13, 14 songs. I've done that so many times. And I think I felt like I had the songs and I didn't need to write any more or put any more down. But there might have been a couple in there that I demoed, but that or even started thinking about recording. But I think I had it. It's funny because the song, what was the one song? It's like an afterthought. What's it? I don't know anything anymore. I don't know anything anymore. That was like barely made the record. We almost didn't. We almost
Really?
chopped that one, but yeah. But now people seem to really like it, so I'm glad we put it on there. It's a little bit more crunchier and a little.
I was gonna
Little
say
dry.
that's like the only one that's really not a rocking song, but that's the only one that's kind of rocking on the album,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That one and yeah, the first one's kind of got that. I think Beg's got that kind of rock and roll feel to it, but yeah, that's probably the only driving kind of rock
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So interesting choice with Beg opening the album with that. I thought it worked perfect again. It just kind of fell into place, but it's not that I would have thought like the driving one, you usually start an album with a driving song, but
Right, a
not
rocker.
this time. Yeah.
Well, that was actually Samantha, my wife's call. She's like, "That's the song. That's the song. It's got to go first. You got to put. It just has a thing about it." And I was going to put San Fernando first, and then she's like, "No, that's just big. It's just it sums up the whole feel of the record. It's got the grit, it's got the groove, it's got the lyric, it's got the whole thing." She goes, "That's got to be the first song," and I'm like, "All right, cool." So I went with it. And then Adam Hamilton chose "Stop the Rain" as the closer. But when we finished all the mix, he goes, "You got to close with this one." I'm like, "This is too good of a song to put the last song on the record." He goes, "It's the perfect ending. You got to have a good closer and a good starter." I'm like, "All right." So that's how that one ended up number 11.
Well, you need to listen to your wife because she's been correct on a lot of things so far.
I do, like she says stuff to me and I'm just like, she's like, this is like the essence of a real, you're back to your roots on this one. She's a huge biggest fan of anybody. She knows every song I've ever written and heard them from, the beginning of them being written. But she's a big fan of like the solo record I put out, the Mark Knight kind of acoustic one. That's like her favorite record that I've ever done. But, she goes, this is taking it back to like, Road Sick Eyes a little bit and some of those earlier kind of more sparse roots rocky kind of stuff. It's not so overproduced. You're not experimenting with weird production. And I'm like, cool. She's like, this is the one. This is just great. It's your best work. I'm like, and she's like pretty honest. She'll tell me
Yeah.
if she doesn't think it's good. So yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So how about the way you released this was pretty interesting. I knew it was coming out, but you didn't really do much beforehand with it.
Yeah,
Why'd you
well,
go with that strategy?
I just see all these. I mean, I'll be honest. I just see all these artists putting out all these singles that linger out for 4 months, like our fourth track, our fifth. I mean, by the time you get to the record, you pretty much probably heard the best songs, and you're kind of not that thrilled about the excitement of hearing your favorite artist full record. So I think one thing was to kind of like, and then the whole video thing, put a video out. I mean, I think videos are kind of like, they don't do a whole lot for you these days like they used to. Like, it's not MTV time anymore. I mean, for an independent artist like me, like, so that whole idea was like, do I want to put all that energy into making a video? And then we like, we bounced around the idea of just, how about we just don't say anything? We just drop this thing. We do like no fanfare, just like, boom, here we go. And that will, I kept telling everybody it was coming out, but I didn't say when. And people were like, yeah, you keep saying that, but when? And I never gave a date. And we were just, yeah, I was like biting my nails for the last 2 weeks. Like, I just want to release this thing. I'm so sick of like holding it secret. So it was kind of we gave it a shot. It was pretty successful because we grabbed everybody's attention right away. Everybody went and bought the CDs, and they just, instead of like, lingering out 2-3 months on, singles release, they just, here you go, instant gratification, listen to the whole thing. We think it's all good. There's not one
Yeah.
song that, yeah.
I think that's a great idea, thinking about it, because let's say you did put a song out and I'm a Mark Knight fan, but I didn't quite like this first song you put out. I probably won't be too excited I'd be like, well, that wasn't any good,
Right.
And maybe not even check out the whole record. So,
I mean, yeah, it could work both ways,
Yeah.
but like, for example, like some of my favorite artists, they put out a song and I love the song. Great, cool. Then all of a sudden, 2 months later, they put out another one. Yeah, I like that one too. And then they put a third one. I'm like, I like the first two other. Then they put a fourth one. Then they say record's coming out in a month. And then you're just like, well, is there going to be anything better than the last four you put out? Probably not.
Yeah.
So to me, I guess we kind of went against the system. We just kind of did. We took our own path here and just said, we feel the whole record's good. We want you to give attention to the entire, 11 songs, not just the one we put out. And like you said, hit or miss. People may love it or they may not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just see so many people doing that. They linger them out, and it's cool. And then a lot of artists just putting out singles. They put that out, and 6 months later they do another one. And they say that's for algorithms to keep people interested and keep the people looking at your stuff. But I kind of old school, like, put the whole record out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it seems to be working.
Yeah, we've had the best success ever on any of my records, my indie records. Self promoters, self label. We do it all ourselves, me and my wife. We have our own little label, and we just use every tool available to us to promote it, including guys like you help me out with podcasts and all the social media and all the interviews I can do, and knocking on people's doors for posting on their sites and stuff. So yeah, it's been pretty good. It's we don't have the big machine behind it. We don't have the giant commercial monster machine putting ads out and all over the world and getting Rolling Stone to pick it up, but hey, we work with what we have, and
you don't owe don't owe anybody any money.
We see a turnaround, we make our profit back, we make a profit. I mean, we make our money back and we make a profit, and we end up coming up pretty good. It's a nice little business venture, and it as well as just getting the music out and being an artist, number one.
Sure. So are there plans for touring for it, or what are we going to do there?
We actually went out to Milwaukee and played a show in May. It was just like a one-off, and there's talk of us going back and doing like a little tri-state regional thing out there maybe. And then yeah, we're seeing where it takes us. We've got a booking agent that's kind of helping us out. He's snooping around for different venues on the West Coast for us to play and try to get us out there. And did a couple shows with I did a show with Junkyard and Little Caesar, and another one with the Cruzados, and those kind of helped. That's how we got the booking agent. He was there. He saw us. He says, "Well, I got to help you guys out a little bit." So we're there's nothing locked in right now as far as touring, no. But we plan to get some stuff rolling this summer.
Who is the live band? Or do you have one?
So yeah, the live band's great now. We dial it in. It's Tig Kettler from Bang Tango. Chuck C on guitar. He's from Milwaukee. We just got him like 2 weeks ago. And then Damien. Yeah, both these guys are from Milwaukee. Damien Valentine, incredible bass player. He's been in and out of the Unsung Heroes and been part of the family for. He played in Worry Bees, my old band. So we brought him back, and he's got a really great band too. Honest Family Outlaws is his band, but he's like, absolutely, I'll play for you whenever you want. So we did a couple shows, and he ended up going back to Milwaukee with me and Tig. We did 3-piece, and then when we came back with a new record release, we figured be best to get another guitar player to fill up some of those guitar parts. So we brought Chuck, who plays with Damien too for years. They've been playing together for 30 years. And he's brand new. We're still breaking him in right now. So it's a 4-piece, and there's like a really great camaraderie and friendship among all of us because we've all known each other for years, and just world-class players. And right now it's just feeling great. We're just we working up the new record, and we just did a rehearsal Sunday, and learning the new songs, and about to play out in July, into July. So that's the band. That's the Unsung Heroes right now. But Tig and me have been together for years, on and off.
Yeah.
Since Bang Tango.
Yeah. So you started this as a 3-piece, and you did shows as a 3-piece. How did those songs come across as a 3-piece?
Not the new stuff. We never did the new stuff.
Okay, you didn't. Okay.
No. We did Days of a Dreamer stuff, and we did a year out of the pandemic. Me and Tig and another bass player who's no longer in the band. We went out and did a 3-piece trio thing for about a year, just dive bars and stuff, and it didn't really work out with the bass player. So we ended up getting Wayne Lothian, the guy who played on all the record, to do one show with us, and then we got Damien back, and he did a couple shows with us 3-piece, and it was great. We could have continued on as that. We were strong. We went to Milwaukee, played a great show, good crowd, and we were considering just keeping it a 3-piece. And then when the record came out, I'm like, you know what? I think we might want to just fill it out with another guitar player. So we got Chuck, who plays with Damien in their band. So that's how it panned out. Yeah.
You didn't want to go the backing track route.
What's that? No, hell no.
That's kind of popular these days. I hear.
You know what? I would break it down and do like the 3-piece. The Days of the Dreamer record has a lot of guitars on it too, but I did it. I found a way to make it work by myself. Sure. Parts were missing, but unless you really know the record, nobody really cares. So
yeah.
But it got real strong. It got me really. It was a challenge, I've never done singing and playing everything. So it took a year or so to break that in and get it. But once I surrounded it, I got really confident with it, and it helped my guitar playing a lot. Like, it really made me. You got to be dead on. You can't miss any. Can't hit wonky chords when you're the only guitar. I mean, there's nothing covering it up, and singing too. So it was some work, but it was a challenge for me, and I took it on, and we got pretty good. We went out to Milwaukee and killed it. It was just the 3 of us. So
yeah,
but new chapter,
Right. That's awesome. So if people want to get this record, they can get it at your website?
Yep. Go to the store, go to all my merch, and the new records on there, and it's all right there. And then you can always go on Facebook and say, post like links to it all the time. There's this one link we use. It's called Here Now. I think it's called Here Now, and basically it's got every outlet of how to get it, streaming, every different streaming outlet, and also buy from artists, which takes you right to the website.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, again, it is a fantastic record. I haven't stopped listening to it. I've been listening to it for probably Well, since it came out, when I first checked it
Thanks
out.
so much, man. I'm so
Yeah,
happy you
just
like it, Joe. Right on, man.
yeah, definitely.
Great.
So
Cool.
great job. Great job.
All
So
right, man.
happy for you.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for having me on here again. And
But yeah, all right, buddy. Well, listen, I'll
all
let you
right.
go.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks again.
All right, Mark. We'll see you.
All right. Take care, Joe. Bye.
Bye.